Welcome,
Sounds
friends,
good.
to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and craft beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Aadil.
Hey,
Hey, it's episode 459. We will jump in from the top. Audio, maybe a touch shaky on video, or maybe not on the audio podcast version. Just because, Aadil, you've moved house and you're in a bit of a temporary setup at the moment.
oh, it's even worse. I haven't actually moved house yet. I just have taken apart the old setup, and so now I'm in the same room at a different angle, with just boxes, more boxes around me, but
Fair.
not enough boxes.
Hundreds of boxes. Just
Uh,
strewn
so
across the property now.
it does feel like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully soon there'll be a full setup, and you get into your new place, and just it's like one of the best things about moving house is actually getting in and just getting your setup how you want it.
Yes, um, that is a theoretically good thing. I'm at that point of like this is a busy time of term. I'm
Mm-hmm.
behind where I want to be with regards to the move. And I'm just like, I'm moving into a place that like I had skipped the installing the floor or the new bamboo floors. I'm moving it, and the lounge will be completely out of commission, and the garden needs to be picked up, and the neighbors have decided that it's definitely an abandoned house again because they've started throwing trash into the front
Oh
lawn.
no, really?
Um, Yeah, I suspect once I move there, it'll
Mm-hmm.
like, but they realize that I haven't moved there after all the big swath of work that happened and then nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
but
that'd
that
be
is what.
it'd be a nice way to meet them when you take a bin bag full of rubbish round to them and say, "Hey, you've chucked all of this in my garden. It's yours, motherfuckers."
Yeah, that's definitely my plan.
And a bottle of wine, of course, just to
Yes.
ease the tension. Nice, nice. Good. It's been a little while since we've had the opportunity to hang out. So let's open some beers and talk about some games and gaming things and the industry and what's been going on that's taken our interest. What are you going to drink this evening?
I've got a fun beer. I've
Ooh,
got the Cloudwater 11th birthday.
nice.
Um, so it's the Cloudwater birthday celebrating 11 years. It's a QIPA, 12% quadruple
Shit.
IPA. Brewing beer to this strength always provides a backbone of ethanol sweetness, so this 11th birthday Quippa uses the Clean Fusion (TM) process developed by Nick at One Drop Brewing Company with a blend of Idaho 7, Motueka, Citro Cryo, Strata CGX, and Mosaic to pull towards a fruity and dank flavor profile. Gert Lush. Um, yeah, so I'm expecting big dank flavors.
Nice, good. Cool. I'm going to drink a beer from Wiper and True.
Oh, excellent.
I did have a couple of beers in stock ready to drink on the pod last week, but I was ill ultimately, and the family's been ill for several weeks. So I ended up drinking the now, I think, yearly release of Cheeseburger Cavalry from Left Handed
Hmm.
Giant, which I wanted to drink on the podcast, with a view of you drinking putty on a previous episode, with that
Right.
again being now sort of a yearly release and being sort of the same, almost the same every year. But instead, tonight I've got a Wiper and True. Went to the shop and there was a few new beers, and this is Extra Verse, which is a 7% IPA, and it says a beautifully expressive IPA that sings with flavour. Eggers Special, Citra, and Waraka hops strike a rich harmony, layering heady aromas with notes of white wine, ripe melon, pineapple, and juicy grape. Soft and fluffy, yet perfectly balanced with full, rounded flavour. This beer leaves a resonant finish that lingers sip after sip. So yeah, and it's 7%. It's like a deck of cards with Quaver on the top card. So maybe some kind of music book or lyric thing. It makes me think of Kim and I have been playing a game called Hitster a lot recently, which you have an app on your phone, and each card has a QR code on one side, and it links through to Spotify and plays the song. And the game is that you have to guess the year. You don't necessarily have to guess the title or the artist, but you've got to guess the year that it's come out. And then you set them up on the table in order, essentially. And then it's kind of first to 10, or however long you kind of want to play, of getting them correct in the correct order. So it doesn't really matter if you know the exact year, as long as you can kind of place them in between the cards you've already got on the table.
Right. So that's like there's a history game, card game.
Yes.
That's like that where it's literally just cards with events.
Yep.
And you were trying to put them in the right relative temporal position. So this is just that with songs and Spotify?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you use your phone just to play the songs, and you're guessing it from the from the song. Either you can pick like a 30-second intro, or you can play the entire song. Kim and I normally play the entire song because we chat a reasonable amount through it. So there's just a song then playing in the background once you've guessed it whilst we're conversing as well. So it's just a nice thing to play whilst we're chatting for an evening. But it's quite a good part.
Yeah, that seems really cool
as well. We played it a lot over Christmas with family and people, and it's nice to sort of do it in teams because the songs span from now back until a lot less songs back in the mid 40s, but I think it goes back to sort of the early 40s. There's a couple of like Glenn Miller Band sort of songs from the early 40s, reasonable amount from sort of the 50s, and then ramps up into the sort of the 60s and through with a lot. And actually, I really struggle with the modern songs. So there's a bunch of songs from maybe
you're
like
an old man.
I know, from like 2012 onwards. I'm like, I don't know. Sounds like it's from the 50s because they'll do, you know, some song will have an intro which is sort of a bit like, I'm like, sounds like it's from the 50s or the 60s maybe, and then like 10 seconds in you're like, no, this is just some edgy cunt that's like just decided that that's going to be their intro. And there's so many people I've never heard of before from the last 10 years 15 years of music. It shows me exactly where my my musical taste sits, because I get almost every year and every song title from songs from sort of the 70s and 80s, ranging from sort of you know, even in the 60s, ranging from sort of the Motown into disco and then into sort of the sort of the more rocky and poppy side. So it's like, oh good, I know old music, hooray! I should probably listen to some new music. Maybe not this shit in this game, but some new music potentially.
I don't know.
Anyway, well,
for what reason?
No, I know. Maybe just to keep up with what Evelyn's listening to.
I mean, that's a good reason.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of like 5 modern female singers that she listens to. So I don't really need to expand my music knowledge that much. Does this one sound like Taylor Swift? No, it's this other girl. I'm like, cool, yep, get it. I know her voice now. Great. I can just not worry about it anymore. Fine. Yes. Anyway, beers. Let's roll back round to beers.
Well, it's yellowy orange. It's quite opaque. My brain's like, not translucent. Yes, it makes it go. That nose is gorgeous. Getting the dank. I'm a bit under the weather. So I've been had a stuffed nose for a couple days, sneezing. So it's good that I picked a QIPA because I can smell enough. I'm getting a little pine and tropical fruit. More passion fruit than mango. It's just really lovely. It's got already a nice bitterness to the nose. I'm gonna have another sip.
Yeah, I imagine with it being a QIPA, the nose is probably quite big.
Yeah, which is why I was mentioning that I'm describing it in one way, but I suspect, given that one of my nostrils is consistently plugged for the past 72 hours, that that it's probably bigger than I realize. But it is dangerous.
Yeah.
So there's a telltale moment in the foretaste and the finish of like that sickly sweet,
Hmm.
but it's blended. The rest of the taste is just there. Um, it's it's what they said on the tin. Um, Dank flavor, fruity. I'm getting a touch of more citrus than the nose had.
Okay.
Maybe a touch of stone fruit too.
Hmm.
Just like a delicate, light stone fruit somewhere in there. Um, Lovely and dank. Small sips, you definitely notice the that like um ethanol sweetness was what they called it.
Yeah.
And I like that because they didn't try and hide it, but it's fine. I
Mm.
don't. Oh, I meant to look up what Clean Fusion Brewing is.
Yeah. And interestingly, did they use the term Gert Lush
Yeah,
as well? Is that in reference to whoever that brewery is that you mentioned as well, potentially? Because it seems like a really random thing to chuck on the end. As it being sort of a West Country, sort of South Wales kind of saying.
yeah. Well, where's One Drop Brewing?
I don't know.
Um,
Is One Drop the... No, I'm thinking of the one with
no,
the
that's in
koala on it.
Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm thinking of the one with the koala on for One Drop.
Wait, One
Oh,
Drop
it is in
Brewing is a
Australia.
microbrewery in South Sydney,
Yeah.
Australia. But leftfieldbeer.co.uk has them. Wait, One Drop. It's a mic. Developed by, yeah, I guess One Drop Brewing Co. is in Australia. I guess they're the progenitors of Clean Fusion. I'm just going to read because I found the website.
Hmm.
Clean fusion is the complete removal of yeast and other particulate after primary fermentation is complete, but before the addition of a large dry hop load to the beer. This dry hop beer is then separated again to remove harsh and undesirable hop material and particulate. We found this allows a clean, full, true to type expression of the hops used, along with a reduction, if not eradication, of the issues plaguing modern IPA brewers: hop creep, burn, and loss of delicate, nuanced hop flavors and aromas.
Okay.
By removing everything left over from the fermentation before adding hops, we are able to create an unobstructed and clean medium for all those big and nuanced hop oils to dissolve into. What we found is overall hop flavor and aroma are increased dramatically, and we're left with a clean, expressive hop profile that's totally unique. The smell you get when you open a bag of hops, that character when you rub them together, and I probably couldn't stop that. That's so interesting.
Mm, mm.
We treat this as a secondary dry hop method that layers on top of, sometimes complementing, sometimes contrasting, the biotransformation hop profile. Huh.
Okay.
So it sounds like they've told people about it. And Cloudwater has tried it with this, and I think it's a success. It is very crisp.
Yeah.
Um, Even for my suboptimal system. I'm suboptimal systems all the way down. Microphones, rooms, brain, nasal
Health. It's
passages.
all gone.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is really excellent beer. It's exactly what you would think from Cloudwater. Again, I like that it's not overtly dank. I guess I just sort of said those things, but not how they mesh together. The dankness is there throughout. It's like low medium level. Letting the more fruity, slightly stone fruity maybe, although that might be my palate because I don't have that anymore. Um, Tastes come through. Um, and then as they fade away, you're left with this dank bitterness, but it's not like a swap because it's always been there.
Mm.
If you remember,
Yeah.
or was that what is it's the astronaut shooting the astronaut meme, right?
Yeah. Always has
Like the
been. Yeah.
dankness is
Yeah.
the second astronaut. And so it just gives um yeah, it just gives this lovely layered texture to this beer that again does not feel like 12%
Mm.
in a dangerous way. Ah, it's not I was thinking like white peach. I think it's more like lychee.
Oh, nice.
That light touch in the sort of beginning of the taste.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really good. Um, there are other flavors, but I don't think I'll be able to clearly articulate them. He says,
Okay.
struggling with articulating the term clearly articulate. But yeah, this is really good. It's let's face it, if you know what Cloudwater does, if you want dank and sort of tropically with layers of other flavors, and or are interested in clean fusion,
Mm.
TM, you're gonna pick this up.
Nice. Nice.
I will say it's a pound per percent.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a 12-pound can of beer, but it's
Yeah.
also 3 cans of beer if you are doing this for the ABV, right? It's not a bad price when you think of it that way, but obviously I don't recommend treating craft beer as merely an ABV crunching machine.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's probably as well. That they're putting out a all beers gone up in price recently. I know
Yeah.
that all of the shops around here have put everything up. I think every beer went up by something like 12p recently. Um, so everyone's putting their prices up, but these are again one-off anniversary beers. They'll never likely be brewed again. Who knows if Cloudwater will move forward with this technology as well, depending on whether they've had to buy machinery into to do it, new brewing equipment and those kinds of things, or whether it's something they've just been able to adapt. You would think, and absolutely, that higher price tag is like, here is a special beer. This is the premium beer that we're putting out at the moment. So yeah, expected it to be, if not 12, sort of 10 pounds. So, which I think is fair, absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Um,
I will just add before we move on to your beer that I have no idea why they've got the like dirt lush,
mm,
because Cloudwater's not from around those parts.
not at all.
So it's interesting for them to say that on the flavor text of their birthday beer.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. But it's a little taste of home for me. So
Nice. I'm on their site. I just wondered if on the um, on the website, on the description of the beer,
Mm.
doesn't say that.
But it does say it on the tin.
Mm. Mm. Because there's another. They've got two birthday beers. They've got this, and then they also have an 11th birthday imperial stout.
Yeah, they've got a handful of birthday beers, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause they
I
had
mean, oh yes, and a double
a
dry hopped
box.
pale as well.
Yeah, because I think there's like I think there might be a fourth.
Okay, maybe they're sold out on the site that you just can't.
Just because somewhere when I was looking into some more info, someone was selling a 4-pack of the birthday beers, so I assume that was 4 different ones.
Mhm.
Um, but or just they doubled up on the cheapest one, which there it is. It was that Cloudwater Collection's birthday. Um, yes, there's a. Oh God, why are you so terrible? I'll click on the link with the T-shirt. Double Dry Hop Pale, Supercharged IPA, QIPA, and Imperial Stout. So the Supercharged IPA, I think, is the one we missed.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think they've got that on their site, so maybe that's sold out very, very quickly.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's also clean tension fusion. Brain. It's also a clean fusion, I think.
Okay.
Wait. Oh no, it links weird. Their website says you can learn more about the process here, and then it's a YouTube link.
Oh, well.
Bizarre. But like maybe that link's in the wrong spot.
Nah,
Sorry, I'm just like
everything's video now, so maybe it is a video
oh, no,
explaining the
supercharged is
process.
a different hopping process. Takes a
Okay.
brief from dry hop to packaging less than 24 hours. Supercharged IPA. Ah, okay. I just needed to read the first sentence of the description. So they've got a clean fusion experiment birthday QIPA and then a supercharged IPA, and then a regular double dry hopped pale and an impy stout.
Mm, mm.
Ah,
No special brewing methods for those.
no, because double dry hopping is a brewing method.
Yes, true.
Oh wait, no, I lied. Uh, extra special edition of my continuous improvement. I don't. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
It's not a proper birthday without some cake. We've worked with single estate bean to bar chocolate, mayo cacao to source a blend of Venezuela cacao nibs, bring a breath of flavor. This extra special edition of MCI, my continuous improvement. Is that must be one of their
Maybe they're
beers?
yeah, one of their beers, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So everything's a bit special. It's their birthday. That's really what we need to.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Hooray! Good job, Cloudwater. 11 years, nuts.
Yeah, that's
The
wild.
same as us. So we started around the same time as Cloudwater did, which seems
I think
crazy.
maybe this time last year we were talking about their 10th anniversary and saying the
Yes, more
same
than
thing.
likely. Yeah.
Because
Funnily enough,
this rings a vague bell.
yeah, it'll come around the same time every year, probably. Good, good. I do like their can art for some of their new beers as well. They seem to have gone back to their old style of labeling with the white label, and then not for the ones that you've got, but a lot of their beers now are white label with with some art and the logo in, which is reminiscent of old Cloudwater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see what you've been talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
they've got the Cloudwater symbols sort of superimposed on abstract but photographed thing, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So a lot of macro-y type photography looking
Mm,
stuff or and then that is just a rectangle on a white
on a
label
white label,
with
yes.
Cloudwater and black text and all the other stuff below.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, it's nice.
It is. It is nice. What is nice as well is the smell of this Wiper and True.
Yeah, have you not had a you've had a
I've not
sip,
had a sip
or have
yet.
you
I've not had a
been a
sip. No,
good boy?
I've been a good. Oh, well, a good boy is the wrong term, but I've waited patiently. It's a nice nose. It's quite big. I'm getting a lot of sweetness, but it's hard to pick out exactly where that sweetness is coming from. I know on the flavor text it's suggested a bunch of different things. So white wine, ripe melon, pineapple, and juice grapes. White wine is always interesting. We've had this conversation before. White wine is always an
Mhm.
interesting descriptor because white wine is made up of so many different flavors.
Yeah.
So they say white wine, but is it a white wine that's more melon and grape than anything else? But nice nose. Mm. That's lovely and soft. Ooh, ooh. You get the melon straight away. And it has that little bit of sweetness, but it sours a touch and does move into a little bit more grape. I'm not getting the pineapple quite there, but I can see what they're saying by white wine in terms of a flavor journey, let's say, where you're starting off with that little bit of sweetness, then it sours just a touch, and you have that sort of slightly, not quite puckering, but a sourness combined with a bit of a harsh, slightly piney note to it. So and I think that grape is giving me those slightly headier, slightly more alcoholic notes to it as well. So I get why they put white wine on. Maybe not notes of white wine, but it's more the flavor journey, more the mouth feel and sort of what's going on than an actual flavor itself. Nose and the mouth are very, very similar. But it's lovely. It's really, really nice. It's very, very soft, very, very smooth. A touch of carbonation. Medium sort of mouthfeel and body to it. But it does have that lovely, quite short and really dry sort of journey to it. And it takes you on that sweetness, as I've described, a little bit of sourness, turns into that nice pine lasting finish. But actually the flavour that's sticking around is that pine, but also the sort of the pithiness of the melon as well. But this is lovely. I mean, you could probably tell it's a slightly bigger beer, but I think that's maybe that quality to it, that sort of more vinous note that I'm getting in there, rather than say the 7% that it is. And I know they said sort of juicy grape, but it's maybe more of a white grape. And I don't know if you've come across, what was it? It's almost like Kim and I last year went and did a little wine, not wine tasting as such, but we went to a restaurant in Bristol which pairs every sort of everything with wine, and they've got a huge selection of wine. They're sort of a wine bottle shop and a restaurant, and the food is not secondary in any means, but they are primarily a sort of a winery and a wine shop. They're not a winery, a wine shop, bottle shop, and the woman who ran it was really good at coming and talking to us about the different wines and sort of what we would be tasting. And they had white, they had red, they had pink, but they also had, I think, orange. They called it
orange wine is
which is
good.
White wine with the skin on. Still, I think, is the process.
I think so.
And actually, I preferred those to any of the whites that we drank that night. I'm not a big fan of white wine, but I prefer the orange to a lot of the, to all of the whites, to be fair. And this feels a bit more like that. It's got that little bit more of leaning into that sort of orange wine than a white wine, perhaps. Maybe it is the combination of flavours that I'm getting that's making it more reminiscent of that experience than it is of necessarily a white wine. But this is nice. This is lovely. It will go down very, very quickly. Luckily, I brought two. So I've got another one in the fridge to have probably as soon as I finish this one, or at least after we finished recording for the evening. And I will get Kim to try it as well, because I think she would. This is kind of a beer that I think she would enjoy.
It's always great when you find one of those beers that you're like, oh, this is unique enough and like not boisterously beery enough that I know someone who would appreciate this.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
That's,
lovely and soft, lovely and light to start with. She might not quite enjoy the finish as much, but a few sips, she would enjoy sort of the flavour profile, definitely. Nice. Let's drink these. Let's enjoy these beers. Two excellent choices from our initial take on them. And jump into some games, or at least maybe start off with some talking points on some of the recent news that has come out from Microsoft and Xbox on quite a massive change to their leadership, with the, in inverted commas, the retirement of Phil Spencer, leaving Xbox, and the, I don't know how you would phrase this, the leaving of Sarah Bond as well. So it's an interesting time, I think, for Xbox, because they've been so up and down over the last 10 years, really, that it makes sort of sense that to push them forward, they may be looking for something else.
I mean,
but Phil's been such a staple in the landscape for so long that it's a little bit of a bit quick, a little bit of a shock perhaps, especially coming on a sort of a Friday, right at the end of a week. No real kind of lead up to it. Just a cool, he's gone, thanks, or they've gone. In fact, not just
Yeah, I think that re- Phil Spencer retiring, effective Monday, and so like the CEO of gaming division, right? For those of you who are not as aware of what his actual title was, and then Sarah Bond isn't replacing him and is resigning, which presumably is
yes.
effective immediately. Um, the game studio, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Moody,
Hmm.
was promoted to chief content officer, which is a didn't know that was a thing. Um,
Random
and
title for person.
I want to before we talk about the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, which is its own mini conversation, I just want to we had this chat. I can't remember what episode, but semi recently, so anytime in the past year, probably, um, where we were sort of talking about how oh, it's definitely past 2 years maybe, but we've been talking about because it's been being the news of the Xbox Anywhere
Yes. Yep.
move. Your TV is going to be an Xbox, and it seemed like um maybe Microsoft was hoping that the technology and access to fast internet was strong enough for like a Stadia like
Hmm.
thing, right? And that approach did not bear good fruit for Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Xbox has been declining in unit sales for at least 2 years. And then this announcement was, I think, about a year ago. Well, in the past, at least a year ago, and this was like, oh, is this them just trying to save face for not pushing units, or is
Mm,
this?
mm,
But it also acted as an explanation of why they seem to not be trying that hard to push units
yeah.
because they were gearing up for this. But then within a few months of that announcement, they're like, we are going to make a new Xbox. And that even if that was secretly in the cards, that's not happening this next year because no one, eh, probably 2 years because of the RAM and now
Mm.
hard drive and CPU shortages, thanks to everyone's favorite thing, AI. That's ruining everything in the gaming world, right? Because you can't have hardware. So um, that's the picture walking into this announcement is
Mm.
that we've had 2 years of negative growth, and we talked about what we talked about recently was the fact that both when we were talking about the Steam Deck announcement, which was
Yeah.
before the big RAM problems had actually hit. Sorry, the Steam,
Steam hardware.
the not Steam Deck, all the other Steam stuff that
Yes.
isn't the deck, the Steam not deck stuff. Um, we were talking about how it's wild that the Xbox and PS5 are currently cost more than they did at launch,
Yep.
which is not how these things normally
Well,
go.
no, no.
Um, and Microsoft was not had very few good titles, and in the horribleness that was 2025, they destroyed studios that actually had their hit titles.
Absolutely.
Um, and I just this is insane, right? But if I didn't know, so without knowing what the appointment of the new CEO and what that seems to indicate, I'd be like, you guys made some bad decisions, and actually, for once, uh, corporations are holding people to account. That'd be my story,
Yep.
right? Because it's oh yeah, they kind of shit the bed. A couple moves that they had to backpedal on, and they're still struggling, and they need some new blood. And it's a retirement, so it's a golden parachute. I
Hmm.
don't know what's
Hmm.
happening to Sarah Bond because it's a resignation. That seems rough. Um, okay, right? That's Xbox is in trouble. Xbox Live, I believe, is not doing. Sorry, Game Pass is not doing as well as they would hope.
Yeah,
A large
especially
part
with
of that is because there's
price rises as well last year, which we talked
yeah,
about. Yeah,
yeah, and more importantly, I think one of the if I was a shareholder, I would have been pissed. Like if I was a short-term gains, no worries about growth of company,
yeah.
want my dividends shareholder, um, I'd be pissed about what they did with Call of Duty because that's so much money on the table that like
Mm,
if I was a diehard Call of Duty fan, I would buy Game Pass for a month before buying the fucking thing to see if I liked it.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, not if I was everything but a diehard Call of Duty fan. Sorry, but I was interested, right? And it's like, oh, okay. It's then turns out it's just as flop as Call of Duty is every year. I spent $30, not and at the time it wasn't pre-hype to be like, nah, this is a Call of Duty game, right? Like, and that's
Mm.
like as a interested, want to grow the market customer. Nope, that's not going to happen. So it's like bad decisions on the page. Unfortunately, I don't think that's why this happened.
No, no.
Because if you haven't read the news, the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and this is, I'm just going to be reading a few lines from the Forbes article, because I purposely picked not a gaming website
Hmm.
to double check, is Asher Sharma, who is the current president of Microsoft's Core AI, joined the company only in 2024. And Matt Booty, the chief content officer, will report to her.
Yeah.
So the CCO reports to CEO. Um, and the nice thing they said was that Phil Spencer had shared with Satya Nadella, the actual head of all of Microsoft, that he was thinking about stepping back last year and began this transition plan, which was obviously could share with anyone because that would scare investors or something. But also, he's resigning as of 3 days from now. Sorry, he's retiring as of 3
Retiring.
days from now. Yeah. But yeah, Sharma, when she wasn't at Microsoft, was a former VP of product and engineering at Meta,
Hmm.
the company famous for their complete and consistent wins of product and engineering, like the metaverse. And also former chief operating officer of Instacart.
Yeah.
She has no gaming background. I did some extra research. I don't have the source. Sorry, people. Um, for what she did at Instacart, I'll try and dig that up if anyone cares. Hassle me on Blue Sky. But do you know what she oversaw at Instacart?
No.
The AIification of Instacart and tiered things like tiered on the fly, like surge pricing type stuff.
Brilliant.
Yep. And her what she said, her is this is an excerpt of her email about the return of Xbox. We will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and the developers who built the expansive universe and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console. It connects us to players who and fans who invest in Xbox and the developers who build ambitious experiences for it. Just not the developers that we have in house. But sorry, that's just me. And then gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of any single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, cloud, Xbox should feel seamless, instant, and worthy of the communities we serve. We will break down barriers so developers can build once and reach players everywhere without compromise.
Yeah, it's so
Oh, there's
she's
an AI quote, but I'll let you comment on what it
she's
said.
come out. I've just seen or was recently reading an article on Eurogamer, where they were reiterating some comments that she'd made to Windows Central, basically saying that they were going to return, or there would be a bigger return to hardware. And
Yeah,
that there was going to be more of a focus on the console, and maybe that recent messaging has kind of pulled away from that. But her original email suggests to me it's kind of business as usual. We've been
yeah,
expanding. Sure, there might be a console. Sure, there might be some hardware. We've put the Ally out, or the Xbox Ally, the ROG
yeah,
handheld, which they've done branded or something. But that actually the things that might change are things like Game Pass, the subscription services, how actually they're going to be perceived or pushed to people and things. But actually, that's just a little bit of the same kind of thing and direction that they've been going in, and it sort of speaks of a bit more of a, was this kind of appointment that actually they would, the Microsoft kind of higher ups like Asher, as a business person, or at least a C-suite level executive, and are trying to put her in somewhere to then she could be here for several years. Matt Booty will take her position in 18 months, 2 years' time. She will move up the ranks of Microsoft almost. And that this is just a bit of a stepping stone for her, perhaps. Because she's, at least her career seems like so far from the few appointments that have been sort of reported on, that she's been in places for reasonably short amount of time before moving on to the next thing, and potentially this is Microsoft. Yeah, but this is potentially Microsoft bringing her in, do a little bit of work over a year, 18 months, set the division and the team in a sort of a, maybe not even a new direction, but a reinvigorated direction, to then go, onto either another division or higher up kind of into Microsoft. And they've got, this is a person we want. This is where we'll put her, forward facing kind of person. There's not many other divisions in Microsoft which are quite as, gaming is an oddity in that it's a tech sector where the people that work there are quite public facing. And apart from, everyone knows who Mark Zuckerberg is, and a few other people, apart from the top person at some of these other companies, people know people in gaming. Sony's made this shift a little bit to put, over the last kind of year, 18 months again, to put people who aren't as public facing in those higher positions, and taking that away a little bit from the persona of PlayStation, where everyone knew who sort of Sean Layden was, and people. So it's kind of one of those, like, get her in this slightly more public facing kind of role, get her to put the messaging out there, reinvigorate the direction, if not change it a little bit, and potentially more cost cutting, and a refocus on something she's already been working on for Microsoft, which is the AI sort of side of things, and how those can roll in that little bit more, and then sort of move her up through the ranks. So it's there's so many things that could be going on here. Obviously, all of this that we're suggesting is speculation, of course, and our own thoughts on things.
I will say the quote she gave, I think. So I am very familiar with management speak. We'll say that. And so she highlights the three things, right? Her first job is simple: understand what makes this work and protect it. That starts with recommitments, and it's like, starting with, I don't know video games. It's like, it's like obviously specifically said to, like, I know I don't know this, so you can get mad at me. Like, it's one of those things, but it's also like, yes, but it underlines the fucking decision, my dudes. But like, it's first, great games. Second, the return of Xbox. Third, the future of play. And the return of Xbox, she says, starting with console, because it shaped who we are, but it doesn't really say, like that quote I read, right? It was like, it sounds like they're like, yes, the Xbox, but no, it's Xbox, and the console matters. We recognize our ecosystem matters. Is how I read this as a cynical, jaded corpo speak translator. God, I should get a business card with that on it. But like, because after that, it's immediately like, we want to connect to everyone. And Xbox can be everywhere. Like, it has that same, like, Xbox everywhere multiple devices, and when you pointed out the last Xbox hardware release was a Republic of Gamers Asus machine. I'm like, right, this isn't saying that's not what they're aiming for. They're
Mm,
just realizing they have to put effort into hardware, but what hardware?
yeah.
And then immediately following that up with stuff about the distribution, streaming, access, this idea of seamless ecosystem, phone, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, that's just the same thing they were saying when we were a year ago when we were talking about how are they just trying to be Stadia with more steps?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just like it does seem like here speculation that maybe Phil Spencer was like, I don't think this is working, and they were like, we're doing this. That's huge speculation, but it does seem like that's what she's been put in place to do, and she does not have any industry expertise in video
Hmm.
gaming to lean on. That sort of underlines the fact that she immediately is going to these talking points with slightly different spin, so tells you what she's been hired to do, right? Because this is no shade on her as a person. This is me just saying the way that companies work.
Mm,
If she's not a subject matter expert and they're bringing her in, it's because she's a process get things done type person. And in that case, she's going to walk in with marching orders.
yeah.
And that's not to say that if she in her job it comes to pass that actually the best thing for the Xbox is a refocus on homegrown hardware, that she might not do that. I'm not saying she's a robot. I'm just saying this is clearly what she's been hired to do,
Mm,
because that's just how companies work, right? But that changes. You have to read these words with that lens on, I guess, is what
very
my
much.
point.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Um,
It's also interesting in that potentially, obviously the change has come from people above this. There's people higher up in Microsoft wanting something else to happen, and perhaps what they wanted, or the change wasn't, say, what Sarah Bond was going to want, or they've come to her and said, look, we're going to make this change. You're not going to be it. We know that you've been working in the role that you've had for several years now. Again, Sarah Bond being very public facing, filling in for where Phil would have normally done 100% of stuff. She's been doing a lot of these kinds of things, in delivering messaging and updates on Xbox and that sort of stuff. And is it a resignation in that she was told she wasn't going to get the job, so essentially she's like, great, I will find a better job somewhere else, thank you very much? Was it a bit of cleaning house that Microsoft sort of went around and went, actually, we're going to get rid of you and you and you and you and you, and there's a bunch of other people that potentially have lost their jobs, they're just not public facing enough to have been reported on? But that kind of need for a little bit of consistency, and someone who has worked in there with Matt Booty, sort of, whether he's sort of retained the same level of position that he had. I don't know whether it's a new title for him. It seems like it is, but you know, he is kind of um, the bridge, almost, the person that does know games, the person that can fill her in and be sort of, her right hand person that is able to give her information quickly about what's going on, about the state of the studios, about the games that they have, and the strategy that they were employing for her to then make those, sweeping or bigger decisions. So it's a very interesting kind of shake up, but I don't know
yeah.
really whether it's gonna do anything.
Oh, I mean, I think it's going to do a lot. In the sense of like I said, when you put someone in who doesn't know anything else, and both the top vision and leadership position people are gone, this is just it's going to do a whatever such right, whatever the heads
Sajin
of
Nadal, yeah,
Microsoft
yeah,
want. Um, I just want to finish quoting her
yeah. Mm,
because the Yeah, mostly because corpo speed's a weird, perverse thing. So first and second, so the games, the return of Xbox in some form, right? And then
Mhm.
third is the future of play. This is why this I think will reinforce my previous um mild interpretations, we'll call it. We are witnessing the reinvention of play. To meet the moment, we will invent new business models and new ways to play by leaning into what we already have. Iconic teams that we fired, characters, and worlds that people love. But we will, so immediately it's just, okay, so we're just going to not make new IP and we're not going to expand, right? We're
Mhm.
just going to do,
Mhm.
right? Sorry. But we will not treat those worlds as static IP to milk and monetize. We will build a shared platform and tools that empower developers and players to create and share their own stories.
Mm.
As monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Games are and always will be art crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. For those of you who just listen to the podcast, you should definitely watch the YouTube version of this to see Ben's face as he hears these words. Because I didn't know if you had read this part of
No,
the
I
quote.
hadn't. No, no, no.
Yeah, yeah. So, obviously, the philosopher, especially the philosopher of language and logician, wants to mine this for about 45 minutes of discussion. But let's just read between the lines, right? So the future of play, we're witnessing the reinvention of play. So it's not a controller connected to a computer that's in your living room.
Potentially.
That's not a reinvention. No,
No.
I'm just saying. She's saying we're play is reinvented, and we will. So she's saying that Microsoft is not thinking of play in the standard way.
Hmm.
That's just what that means. But then to meet the moment, we'll invent new business models and new ways to play by leaning into teams, characters, and worlds. But don't worry, it's not milking. So whenever someone says a thing and then has to say, "Don't worry, we're not doing that thing," a lot of the time in corpo speak, that is, we want to do that thing, but don't want you to get mad at us for
Yeah.
doing the thing. So we're going to try our hardest to trick you into thinking we're not doing the thing.
No, absolutely. It instantly springs to mind. They want to move, or at least whatever Minecraft 2
Oh,
will be
they
closer.
want to be Roblox.
Will be Roblox. Absolutely. They want to be, not trying to think of a shooter franchise, but Halo turns into Fortnite. Forza
Oh yeah,
Forza is kind of, already not necessarily moving in that direction, but Forza Horizon being that
I
kind of
think it's
open world
worse.
kind of element is going to be a much more like, oh, people can here is the base game and everyone can make stuff in here, including our teams who are constantly just going to churn out content for this one title, and we're just going to make Forza continuously and Call of Duty continuously, and lean more in, things like Call of Duty. And one of the reasons I would imagine that they brought Activision Blizzard is because of their business models, with the way that Call of Duty kind of, yes, annual release, but then the monetization of Call of Duty in things like Warzone, and just that perpetual kind of, this is the one game that people play. They'll be looking at things like FIFA Ultimate Team. They'll be looking at those kinds of, FIFA Ultimate Team is what now, 15, 12 years old at this point. Sorry, the cat is screaming at the door. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
I think it's the idea that there's this reinvention, but it's just corporate speak for taking things that we have seen and trying them with the products that we have in slightly different ways, or employing them in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to be.
Oh, it's even grittier than that, right? Because it's like we're witnessing the reinvention of play. Translation: Fortnite, Roblox make more money than what we do. We're going to invent new business models and new ways by leaning into what we already have, which is our teams, characters, and worlds that people love. Well, that makes sense with respect to Fortnite and AI copyright theft. But I think so obviously I think that but we will not treat those worlds as static IP to milk and monetize is like telling. Let's even if we give the benefit of the doubt of like I'm just reassuring you that we're doing this because that's also what the second paragraph, right? We will not chase short-term efficiency or fluttering ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Why I think that's important is because we will build a shared platform and tools that empower developers and players to create and share their own stories. So this is AI. So like Google's got their model where they can make like persistent worlds on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this? Right.
Yep.
But of course, well, not persistent. Like you can move around a world, but it's not actually persistent in the way a fucking video game needs to be. And anyone who thinks that doesn't understand the basics of how video games work, right? You can't have like they don't have like anything trans. Even if you try to make a game out of this, there'd be no consistency of any facts across scenes. Let alone tracking fucking health or whatever, or quest markers, or it's just not. That's not what these things can do. But they can make pretty. It's wild and it's cool that you can just make worlds that you can walk around in on the fly, using a tremendous amount of resources. Different brand, but like that's the stuff that corpo people like froth at the gash for.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. So this is the worry I have with someone who doesn't understand video games trying to push that. And the fact that they're saying empower developers and players to create and share their own stories, and then follow it up with as monetization and AI evolve. Well, let's just stop. Sorry. What a fucking pair you're saying. Monetization's evolving as well as AI is a wild pairing. And influence this future, we won't chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. This is like something like a pseudo vow, or it's an assertion that don't worry, we won't do this. But that only makes sense if what you're saying you're wanting to do is something that could allow it to happen, right? Like I am doing the 45-minute like takedown of what this means. Sorry, but like I'm reassuring you that we're not going to chase short-term efficiency and flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. The wording implies that what we're doing is going to create an ecosystem which could be flooded with a soulless AI slop, and I'm telling you that's not what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying I think it's this like AI will let us. We will like get people to pay so that they can make their own Master Chief fake ass game with AI, right? Like you don't have to worry about your ecosystem being flooded with soulless AI slop unless you are empowering developers and players to create and share their own stories, which could be soulless AI slop. That's just what the sentences mean. Right? And like it's like you and then to say games are and always will be art crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just what you want to do. Like you have told us the game plan because you're like reassuring don't get mad at me things are betraying that those things are possible because you're not saying we aren't making an AI marketplace. So don't worry about it getting a bunch of shitty things. You're saying we're not going to chase short-term efficiency and soulless AI slop in our ecosystem. Because you're not chasing it, but it might happen.
But it might happen. Absolutely, yeah.
And also your goals might change, and you might chase that now because it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what wasn't a possibility for Solus AI Slop? Regular ways of making video games in the Xbox development ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not what you're planning to do. It's not a return to Xbox in the normal
In the
sense,
normal,
right? Like,
yeah.
anyway, that's just my like. I
No,
had to get this
absolutely,
rant out.
absolutely. Good. We'll talk about
The
this
Xbox.
more. I mean, pour one out more than
No,
actually
I don't want to
drinking
lose my
potentially.
damage
Like, yeah,
deposit
no,
on this carpet.
and this beer's too nice to actually do that too. Good. We'll probably talk more about this as it develops, as they start to unveil what they're actually going to do. I will move us on to
Yeah,
a
please
couple
do.
of couple of games that I have played, but I've been delving into the Steam Next Fest a little bit. I've got a bunch of demos downloaded to my machine. I haven't had a huge amount of time, even though we've not recorded for several weeks. I haven't had a huge amount of time to actually put into
I mean,
playing anything.
that's why we haven't recorded. None of us have had
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. It's been really, really busy, and me and the family have been ill for a reasonable amount of time. So it's a Steam Next Fest currently. I got a couple of codes for demos early, so about a week before they actually came on to
Nice.
before Next Fest started. One thing I was going to highlight is that on the front page of at least the PlayStation Store, they've put up a bunch of demos as well. Like it's
Oh,
catching, and I like it. I like the idea that PlayStation, like, hey, look, there's some games coming out. Here's some demos. So on the PlayStation, I've downloaded the Pragmata demo, which is the new Capcom game coming out at some point this year, which is the one with the guy in the spacesuit with the little girl on him that hangs out on his shoulder. I've not played the demo yet, so I can't tell you anything about that. And then Ereban, which is another game which I think is releasing soon as well. So I've got a couple of demos lined up there to play. I've got a few demos on the PlayStation, on the PC lined up to play. Replaced, which is actually I think a Microsoft published game, maybe, but it's featured heavily in no, it's not. It's Thunderfall. Apologies, but it Replaced featured quite heavily, I think, and it might be an Xbox console exclusive. There's something around it being linked with Xbox, but that's currently lined up to play along with a couple of other games, Wonderberg, and some things. But I have actually played 3. I managed to get in 3 demos.
oh wow.
One or two I'll talk about very, very briefly, and one I'll jump into a little bit more. But I've tried a game called Windrose, which is it pulled me in because of its ship combat. It looks like it's you're a pirate. There's lots of ship combat in it. So far, for about an hour that I've played of it, I've just been running around an island doing survival stuff. And it's turned me off getting to the point where I'm going to do ship combat. The ship combat looks fucking cool. So you watch the trailers, and I'm into the ship combat. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be doing all of this. I've washed up on a beach, and now I have to make a camp, and I have to collect resources to make the camp, and then I have to craft some shoes, and then I have to go and fight 10 boars to get their hides. Don't give a shit. I don't need it to be the early levels of an MMO.
Yeah.
I just want to be on a ship and shoot some people. So I've tried an hour of that, 40 odd, 46 minutes, Steam says. Maybe I'll give it another half an hour to see if I can get to the ship combat, just to see how good that feels, and whether this is something that I'd look to pick up. But if it keeps me in this survival element, I'm not interested. I've also played Greenhearth Necromancer, which is
fun.
Yeah, it's a smaller game where you are. I mean, you're a young girl. You're a necromancer. Your grandma was also a witch, but essentially grew plants. I can't remember if she's a herbalist or something else. But the game is set on the balcony of the apartment that you've inherited from your grandma, and you are basically doing a
But sorry,
lot.
I just need to. Is this a very like late stage capitalist millennial thing where you've only inherited a balcony?
No, no. I believe you live in the apartment as well.
Okay.
You just inhabit, at least in the game, the space
Yeah.
on the balcony, and it's about sort of botany ultimately, and you're
Yes.
bringing plants to life, but with that necromancer feel to it. So the plants
So
are
like you're
kind of
literally
like
bringing up dead.
undead. Yeah, yeah. You're raising from the dead plants, and some of them have like bones instead of leaves, and it's tendrils instead of sort of flowers and things.
Vines or something.
But it has a lot of narrative to it. So
Hmm.
as you do things on the balcony and you revive plants and you're moving through that story, you gain cards, and those cards, of course, because there's cards everywhere, those cards allow you to do a bunch of stuff, some of which is moving forward side stories, talking to other characters that come and knock on the door of the apartment or that live in the building, people that are coming to see you, people that you might just randomly encounter. So it's interesting. The narrative of it is not quite that compelling yet. There's a lot of text to read in it. I think that's maybe the biggest issue with it. That it's getting a lot in. So you're sat on single screen for a lot, reading a lot of text, just taking in that bit of narrative, rather than some games which are very text heavy, which need you to actually pass what the text is saying or take in what it is saying, rather than just here's some flavor to this interaction that you're having. And actually, it's the end point, which is going to be the sort of not necessarily the decision, but because you make a couple of decisions throughout that narrative. But those decisions give you some drops, which might be a potion, which you can put on your plants and these kinds of things. So it's okay. It's pretty chill. I think it's kind of one of those that you would be like, I've got an hour. I don't really want to do a huge amount. Let's just put some time into tending the balcony garden and exploring the relationships with the characters, kind of here. But it's a little bit slow. So I don't know on that one yet. And again, I've only played about half an
Is
hour.
it?
So
I would say, is it a timed or content demo? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know actually. I played
I mean, I
half an
hope it's
hour,
not a
so I
timed
would
one because it
imagine it's
seems like.
content. I'd imagine you'd get to a point where you essentially exhaust the cards that generate for those interactions, and perhaps you can just sit on the balcony still and tend the plants. But I would imagine it takes you through or to a point in the game where you're maybe an hour in or so, and then just stops giving you content to explore, perhaps. But the game I want to highlight is called Airframe Ultra, and it is I don't know what the fuck you would call it. It is a sort of Road Rash like, but with some on foot combat, very much in a grimy PS2 aesthetic.
This is fucking great.
It look man, and it is fucking great. Right, again, another game I played about half an hour of, and after that half an hour, I was like, "Fucking hell, I'm wiped. I'm done." Like,
Really? Like just
absolutely.
like intense?
It's so intense. Like you play maybe 5-ish, 10-ish minutes of the sort of the tutorial, which takes you through the movement, takes you through moving on the airframe, on the bike, the hover bike that you have. Takes you through a little bit of combat, and then jumps you into the or at least you can then choose a server to pick, where you might get thrown right into the middle of a race, or when actually you've hit a checkpoint in that race, everyone gets off their bikes and they're just fighting for 2 minutes then you will get back on the bikes and then race to the next kind of checkpoint. It is full on, and the racing's full on. You know, the levels that I played had tight sort of roads that you're on with traffic flying at you constantly. It's all again, the map that I was on was set at night. It was all dark and grimy. Suddenly you've got this other player who's boosted and flies past you, and you've got the ability to just hit them with whatever weapon that you've picked up. So it's really reactive. It's really fast paced, and I felt both really good at the game and absolutely shit within about a 20-minute period, where I was like, oh yeah, I've got the upper hand on this person. I've kicked them off their bike. I've smashed them down. I picked up this, I can't remember what the weapon was, but this big like baton which you can electrify, and then just whacked someone round their head with it massively. Just sent them flying off to the side of this thing and just off the track completely. And they'll regenerate, 10 seconds behind everybody else and have to try and catch up. But then the on-foot stuff threw me completely, because there was no, and this is my own way of playing, there was no option to change to an inverted control. And so I'm like, he's over there, and just looking at the floor like, bollocks. Yeah. He smashed me in the head. And it's a little easier to deal with when you're on the bike, because there's a lot more, you're doing more horizontal kind of look rather than you are vertical. But when you're on the on-foot elements, that killed me entirely in it.
I mean, that's not really a thing, given that it's like, it doesn't have a release date, and like, there were Tuesday was their open beta patch notes, right? So like they're in open beta. I think you should just literally just say, "Hey guys, put this in your fucking menu."
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and I mean this because you seem like you enjoy this enough, and like often with like it's Akapura Games, as a publisher, and I don't know. I'm assuming, given that Steam has Akapura Games as the dev, but also Video Cult, who that they're the like primary developer. They're small enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll probably take that to heart, and also it's probably not much. I have to say, looking at their Steam page, there's two things that jumped out at me outside of the pure aesthetic, which was great to look at while you're describing it, because it was like I can kind of see, knowing the types of games like Road Rash and this like quality of graphics. But the feature list is all in caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And it's high octane, full throttle, make your racer, clash with your crew, rule the streets. Those are the features. And I'm like, fuck, someone should get a goddamn pat on the back and a free coffee for that just dynamite decision of doing that. The other thing, though, is unfortunately is Windows 10 or newer, and I know that's just because of modern games and like modern computers, but the sys requirements are amazing. Did you read these?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so OS, don't worry about it. Memory, 4 gigs of RAM.
Nice.
Graphics, Shader Model 2.0 compatible graphics card with at least 512 megs of video memory. It just needs a 512 video card with DirectX 9C.
Literally is a PS2 game.
Storage, 100 megabytes available. It's actually made not to look like these things. It's literally made to be run on that fucking shitty hardware we had back when these were things. 100 megs, DirectX 9C, 500 megs of video memory.
I didn't realize that's
fucking amazing. Yeah, I was just like, I was sold before I got to this, and I'm like, oh, you are doing the thing. You're not like faking the thing. You're doing the thing,
Absolutely.
which means it's gonna like have all of the right feeling and constraints of the thing, but will probably have better quality of life than things like Road Rash, etc. Because a lot of that stuff there's quality of life stuff we've learned and people have learned how to code that aren't attached to resources. So those will still be there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. What was the Road Rash sort of spiritual game that you and I played on the
I
sofa
wanted to
together?
so bad,
But it was
but
really
it ran
janky.
like ass.
Yeah. What game was that?
Was it Road
Oh
Redemption?
yes, that sounds right. Yeah.
Let me look it up on Steam. I think that's it. I knew it was a road thing.
I find the system
I own
requirements
it.
for that being
Oh, it's currently on sale for 85% off for £2.24. It's
nice,
Road Redemption.
nice.
Released. Oh my God, Ben, do you know when this released?
No, pre-COVID.
October 2019.
Yeah.
We played that 7 years ago.
Fuck.
Well, more like 6 years ago, I guess. But
Sure, but it's pre-COVID,
Jesus.
isn't it? Yeah.
Um, well, according to the recent posts, people think it's fun and very good. So I bet all this stuff because I remember having such a hard time with that game and its optimization and
Absolutely.
bugs,
Yep.
and then I never went back to it.
Mm.
Oh, and actually, oh no, we might have. Did we get codes for this? Because it's got reviews from before
Oh,
then.
I don't know. Potentially it was or it was early access. So came out
Yeah,
maybe the
because it has
year
a
before.
shit ton of negative reviews in October 2017.
Okay, that probably sounds about when
Um,
we more like
because
played
I
it
think
than
we
19.
we got
Yeah.
I think we got codes for it, but I can't really remember. But anyway, all the current oh nope. 26 February, 0.3 hours on record. Not a big fan, not gonna lie, too much violence with not really interesting game content other than killing people, but still legendary game nonetheless. What do you mean legendary? Oh my god, I hate people so much. Um and then the
I
other
hate
one from
violence, but the
February.
violence is great.
Yeah, the other. I mean, this is why I had that segment, which I forgot all about, that we had for a couple years running of like the Steam reviews. I
Yeah.
can't remember what I called it. Is but the other not recommended recently does not launch on Steam Deck, and I'm like, that's such a great like. It's an old game. Sure, it doesn't launch on Steam Deck. Um, but that's it. Like that's their whole review, and everyone else seems like they like it. Like
Yeah.
I
There's
might actually try and hilariously, I wish I hadn't read that review because I was like, oh, I might like install this and just like have a putter to see if it runs better. And like, oh, where would I do that? Oh, the Steam Deck. Where doesn't it launch? I'm gonna give this guy a thing. Yes, this was helpful.
nice. There is also a review that was posted on the 12th of February that says this is exactly what it looks like. If you're old enough to have lower back pains, you're old enough for this to be worth it for the nostalgia alone.
Oh, that's very good.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
very true. Very true.
I mean, to be fair, I was old enough to have back pain
Yeah, when
when
we
this
played
first
it,
came
yes.
out. Oh God. Uh, anyway,
Nice.
we were talking about this really cool other
Yes, but
throwback.
Airframe Ultra. I mean, it's fun. It's super fun. It's like Road Rash, combined with a little bit of Wipeout. You know, it's definitely something I am going to play more of, and
God,
get into. It's kind of one of those games that you could just play for like 15-20 minutes, however long a sort of a set
a
race kind of
race or
lasts. You'd be
whatever.
like, cool, I'm just going to jump in for a race and just tear it up for
Um,
half an hour and come off.
I want to say a couple things based on the. I mean, I'm just reading Steam, but single player.
Hmm.
But it sounds like it's mostly online PvP. Is
Yes.
what
Oh, it's
you?
all online PvP. Yeah.
Yeah. So single player is a weird thing to have, but online PvP. But it says it has shared split screen PvP.
Oh,
Which is super interesting.
so it
Boy,
does.
it's too bad that
Yes.
our very defunct YouTube series of couch co-op never happened and can't happen for very
Yep.
strong logistic reasons. But also it says online co-op, shared split screen co-op.
Hmm.
And I say this because one of the very informative bullet points was clash with your crew.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, a million episodes ago, I was talking about how like my peak version of GTA would be in an MMO where you do the gang mini game slash meta game of San Andreas,
Yeah,
where it's just a GTA game, open world, but you are like holding territories, so
mm.
there's like
The
persistence,
gang
etc.
wars stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, And one of the reasons was so you could do the dumb shenanigans in GTA with your friends, even if you didn't care about the gang war. Like that's what you want, and and that's like what GTA Online kinda
Hmm.
does. Um, but like that's what I want to do. I want you and me to find some time to ride bikes and hit people with batons together, right? Like that sounds fucking great.
And I think it definitely is. I think especially
Well,
it's kind of one where it is, whilst it's that, the system requirements are low, it's got those kind of really boxy polygonal kind of graphics to it. Actually, it's quite detailed, and it's a very grimy, or at least again the maps that I have played on, a very gritty world that they have sort of made, and it's full of detail, and it's kind of one where actually you will you lose. You don't need this to be maybe as detailed as it is. It can be a little bit sort of flyby in terms of the aesthetic and the graphics, because you're so focused on the gameplay and how quickly you're moving through the environments, and people coming up next to you, that
right.
I think it is one of those games that would be, it would be excellent to be, the two of us just chatting about
Yeah.
what we're doing, where we are, the gameplay. It's not strategic, it's fast paced, it's constant, and it would be really, really reactive. And I think both of us would just be talking continuously for, however long that map lasts, about what is going on, the position that we're in, where other players are, what weapons we've got, and all these kinds of things. It would be just constant, 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 constant. And we would be knackered after one round, but it would be a fucking hell of a round. So I completely agree. This is that
Yeah.
kind of game where you can go, and it's that, where I've spoken about Battlefield 6 a lot, and how it, the joy that we had playing Battlefield 1 together.
Yeah.
Not fast paced, a little bit more strategic, can be fast paced at moments, but is that little bit slower.
Yeah.
This would just be constant. And I think actually that's really good for the amount of time that we have to play
I was gonna
games.
say, when you're like, I don't actually want to play for 2 hours with
Mm,
you because we're gonna have some chats and then we're both gonna be a bit fucking fried.
yep.
Half an hour that fits in both my mental and temporal like availabilities and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
capacities. Like yeah, that sounds fucking great.
Nice, nice.
I am now like mildly annoyed that it's doesn't have a release date, but also if they're in open beta, hopefully that lasts for a while. Uh, and like another thing is, if you are saying this when they're in open beta, except for the say tilt controls, inverted controls,
Mm,
um, like you're already enamored with it, great, right? That's such a good sign.
yeah.
Compared to, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, like, one of the things I didn't bring up in the Microsoft talk was there's this, you can see it in games journalism and even in purchasing, and like, be it AAA games not hitting these landmark numbers anymore. But also, if you look at the sales numbers of video games, that just people are buying more indie product. Like games purchased, and then I need to tell my boss Satya that it's not a big deal. Well, yeah, but we are selling ours for $80 and they're selling theirs for 5 to 10, so it's
Mm,
okay that they've got more volume. But like not all of these are short.
hmm Hmm.
And like, I maybe this. Sorry, I have to write this down. So I think I mentioned this in the past to you at least, but maybe not on the pod. But like one of the things I'm working on in my day job, is a book about the tyranny of the metric
Yep.
and how measurements and metrics can lead us astray. And one of those things, this just strikes me as a good example of if you just look shallowly. Oh, I don't like AAA gaming doesn't have to worry because they're selling $80 games, and so it's okay that they're making more money per game, so it's okay if they're not selling as many games as the $5, $10. Except we currently live very clearly in a world run by the attention economy.
Mm.
And if someone's selling a 40-hour or even 20-hour $15 game, oh, you can tell I'm going to read a US marketing material. I said dollar, not pound. Um, that's still like that's time they can't spend on your
Yeah.
$80 for 20, 40-hour game, right? Like it's the metric of price doesn't get you to think about, oh, actually, how much gaming time does someone have? What is the likelihood that they will have time to buy the $80
Mm.
game?
Mm.
And if they don't have that time, it doesn't matter how great your $80 game is,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of like corporations that are run and like are so cynical is they've got bad metrics, right? Metrics are proxies for information, and if you don't understand limits, you do dumb things. For example, thinking that you can design a game for the average person, average player, but there is no average player. There's no one who has all of the properties of the average. And if you design a game for that person, they don't exist,
Mm. Mm.
right? It's why the like the Kingdom Come Deliverance devs and the Baldur's Gate Larian Studios devs have both like come out and said we're not trying to make a game for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, and they've been massively successful at that close to high price point in a way that none of the big studios have, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, you're fucking this up because you don't understand what your statistics mean.
Mm. Mm.
Anyway, that's all to say. This is great. I've already added it to my library.
Nice.
Did you play this on your PC or your Steam Deck?
No, on the PC. On the PC.
Yeah. Okay.
I think currently it's Steam Deck compatibility unknown. I may
Yeah.
try it out and see, but I'd probably just play it on here. And it's one of those games that
You
as
want
soon
to
as you
see?
launch it, it also says play this with a controller.
Yeah,
So
but the
it's kind
Steam
of
is.
so the Steam Deck is a controller. So you'd imagine that that should move across to there quite seamlessly. Um,
I, I I only say this because I have read the specs and they can definitely fucking run on the Steam Deck.
yeah, no, absolutely can.
Actually, the other thing that I will say is if you on the Steam Deck you have much more. The Steam Deck OS,
Mm,
right? Steam OS gives you granularity of controller,
yeah.
so you could
Oh
probably invert
yes.
on the Steam Deck.
Oh, that's true. I'm pretty sure my controls on Steam, or
Just override everything they inverted.
it should. So
Yeah.
Steam does it, PlayStation does it, but actually, and this is one of the things I had with Mafia: The Old Country.
Mm.
I've got it set on my PlayStation that my default control setup is inverted. Mafia: The Old Country doesn't have an option to invert the controller, and it resets it to a non-inverted play. So my defaults on PlayStation are overridden in Mafia: The Old Country.
Mm.
Potentially, that's also something that's happening here because the availability for the inverted controller just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So the default that I have set up can't work ultimately. So it just
Right.
reverts back to the default
But
in the game.
Steam OS game mode has all kinds of ways of changing
Mm,
your control
mm,
schema, right? In a way that Windows like so the problem is on Windows, Steam can't do some of the stuff because it's OS. The
yep.
OS is supposed to do that. And if you don't have OS level drivers for your controller, you can't enforce these things. But on the Steam Deck, you can.
Mm. Oh,
And you
that'd
can
be
even
interesting.
download other people's
Y-
right, the whole like because you can download other people's control schemas for any game on
Yes, you
Steam
can. Yeah,
OS,
yeah, yeah. And I,
right?
I,
But
I
also you can just make your own.
You can, and also the PlayStation Pad has recently had an update to have a system level options
Oh,
availability, and maybe because I didn't use the PS control pad because Evelyn and I have been playing Lego Horizon
oh,
over the
nice.
last couple of weeks, and so both pads are downstairs. So I've been using the Stadia controller, which doesn't I don't have any options for on the
Of course
PC.
you, of course you fucking don't. It's I love that you own that thing.
Oh mate, it's good. It's great.
No, and every time you've talked about it, you're like, it's not a bad controller. But it's just
It's
we're
just
now
dead,
so
completely
many
dead.
years out from it that it's like I forgot that was a thing. And I mentioned the Stadia in our conversation earlier about Microsoft, but when you said Stadia controller, my mind's like half got blown. I'm like, right, there was a controller
Yep,
because there has to
yep.
be. The only thing that we're giving you was a controller, which actually I think is part of their like the downfall of the Stadia was they tried to tie it to proprietary like hardware for no reason.
No, it's weird, isn't it? That model. But also it's a model that Steam had previously enacted with things like the Steam Link and stuff like that, where they tie it to
But
things that don't
the
necessarily need
Steam
to.
but the Steam Link couldn't it take any Bluetooth controller?
It could, but I think that came after
Yeah, probably, yeah.
release. So you had to have the Steam controller. So no one
Right.
bought the Steam Link, and then essentially they gave them away like a year after release.
Yeah, I'm
I
really
got the
sad I
Steam
didn't.
controller. I bought a game for like £5 that I've never played because ultimately they would ship me a free Steam Link, and I used the Steam Link so like loads, absolutely loads. Plugged it into the TV and played it. Never played
Uh,
the game that I bought that
yeah,
got me
why
the
would you?
Steam
Yeah,
Link, but yeah.
I did. I the Steam Link is like the only thing from Valve I think I haven't bought really. If I think about
Mm,
it, that's not true. Because I had the HTC Vive, so I didn't buy
right.
the the like what most people use. The Steam VR hardware that came afterwards. Um, but uh, I bought a Steam controller when it was a thing, so I
Yes.
paid retail. Didn't buy the Steam Link because I had already spent like the better part of a decade before the Steam Link existed with figuring out what the balance of power and form factor for partners, etc., for living room PCs were. I just could never have been a Steam Link
Mm,
person.
mm.
Even now, I have the Steam Deck and a dock in my living room, and but I already have a tiny AMD powered mini PC for my living room computer. And so the Steam box, the Steam GameCube, but it like doesn't make sense for me,
Yep. Yeah.
even though everyone else is excited about it, except for the fact of it hardware. But really, what I'm like is they're releasing all this stuff on open source. My little $100, well, it was $200 at the time, pounds, um, mini PC that's under my TV that currently has Windows on it, but it has 16 gigs of RAM and an AMD onboard thing.
Mm.
That means that it works with all the fucking Linux drivers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I should just put SteamOS on this thing,
Yeah.
and obviously it won't be as good as Steam Xbox, but actually, if I do get this PC working, because I started upgrading it instead of just packing it away, um, and now it doesn't post. I don't have time to. I finally installed the CPU upgrade that I've been sitting on for like 6 months. I've had this CPU, and I'm like, oh, I've unplugged all the things. I should just do the thing, move, and then because then when I move, I can just plug it in and it's already upgraded. and I put the new graphics card in, the new RAM, the new CPU. It doesn't post, and I'm like, I should probably undo all of those changes, do them one at a time like a normal person. That's how you can figure this out. And I'm
Roll
like,
it back and start again.
yeah, but it's like I don't have time for that. I might just put it in a box and then get annoyed at myself when I
Yeah.
move.
When you unbox it and go, oh yeah, I've still got to do this. Oh,
It
brilliant.
doesn't fucking work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work, and there's like 4 different ways it doesn't work. And hopefully I didn't damage one of the motherboard when I was
Mm,
doing
mm,
stuff.
mm. I
I
am.
didn't imagine I did.
I was so at the weekend. I very very tentatively took the PC apart, and I had a couple of air cans that I did, basically cleaned the PC,
Yeah.
and put it back together. And I sat here, plugged it all back in, and I'm like, press the button. I'm like, please, 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 have not fucked anything up massively. And it all turned on. I'm like,
Yeah.
all I did was unplug the things and plug them back in. But why was I so like? Because everything, like how
Because
it's
that's just
absurd how much we
PCs.
tie ourselves to these machines as well. But that's another
I'm
topic
annoyed
for.
because um I've had the odd time of like building a PC for someone where like at the CPU and the RAM some install happens and like we have to troubleshoot.
Yep.
This is actually the first time I've ever installed a CPU on my own computer and it hasn't immediately posted.
Oh.
And I was like, God damn it. But also I was like, I'm so rusty at this. And because if I wasn't, what I would have done is just swap the CPU, make
Yep.
sure it posts, then swap like done it piecewise. But also one of the fan screws wasn't unscrewing. And so I'm worried that when I was trying to stabilize the fan, because when 3 of these screws are unscrewed, it starts torquing in a weird
Yeah. Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I put pressure on the fan to make sure the thread of the last screw was in line. And now I'm just paranoid that I like pushed too hard and fucked. Because if I push too hard, not only might have fucked the new CPU, which we all know are now super cheap to reacquire, but also at that point when all the other screws are done, there's no like there's give. So the CPU getting pushed will be at the tolerance isn't built for this type of like
Hmm.
oblong pressure. I could have fucked the motherboard,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, I was like so annoyed when I was like, because basically what happened was, I was like, I should just fucking do this, and I had a million things on my mind. So instead of taking the whole motherboard out, I tried to do it in case, and then the thing that holds a fan on, like is a separate part on on this CPU fan that I didn't like clock immediately.
Right.
So of course it wasn't undoing because when 3 of the screws are done, that plate falls off. So I was pushing hard to try and torque it until I realized, and I'm like, oh, I might have fucked this because I didn't do the normal thing, which is take it all apart, take it out of the thing, put it on a static free thing, blah 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 blah. And it was like, I'm so but that part was like mostly rustiness, but I'm like, oh, but that doesn't matter because that's all it takes, right? And
Very
the
much.
reason
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never hit one of these mistakes in the past is because partly because of my overcompensating of my previously under of like don't fuck this up, like the paranoia overcame the ADHD, but it turns out I haven't I think I built this PC early pandemic.
Okay.
So I haven't and I didn't build a PC before that in my time in England.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, I haven't done a CPU swap in
God. Man, I haven't done a
yeah,
CPU swap in 10 years minimum. Minimum.
yeah. So
Yeah.
10 years gets me to 2016.
Fucking hell, yes.
No, I didn't.
Jesus.
I think and like I didn't I had a good PC for a few years before I moved to the UK, so that's 2000. I moved in 2010. Oh, I probably haven't done a PCC swap somewhere between. Last time was probably somewhere between 2006 and 2008.
Yeah, absolutely. When you actually think about it, I remember building. like actually physically buying the parts and building a PC. Maybe 2004, 2005, something around that. My first PC was pre-built, which I then took bits out of and put new bits in and stuff. Built my own one in the mid to late 2000s, 2005, 2006 maybe. And then I think everyone since then has been a pre-built machine that I have purchased. Sure, I have gone onto a website number one and picked the parts, but someone else has done it and shipped it out to me. Like that's the point that we've got to, that we're not as au fait with taking these things apart anymore and putting them back together.
Well, the thing is, like, I remember when I bought this PC in 2020, the best price for both the CPU I wanted and the motherboard were the same place, and you could just check a box and like, do you want us to install
the
CPU on the motherboard with the stock fan? I was like, yeah, I'm not planning on overclocking. I know that I haven't, like, this is right when all the like the coolers were like all the rage, mostly because it was another place people put RGB. I'm like, I know that the way I game, I don't care about sound, right? So the fan, like a stock fan, not being as quiet as like a aftermarket one, and I'm not planning on overclocking. And I'm comfortable with, if I do that, I could install liquid cooling if I really wanted to overclock, or at least if the fan bothered me, I could reinstall that. So, like, the only time I've built a PC from scratch in my time in the UK, which I will remind you is a long time now, that part was done. So, like, I forgive myself a little bit for not knowing that this fan had a plate that it mounted against, which is not a standard thing, but it turns out it's a AMD CPU fans do this. So I didn't like have a clue because I never actually installed it with the plate. It just came with all that attached. But that doesn't change the fact that I possibly put too much pressure on something and damaged it, and that might be the case. And in which case, I will have to figure out this setup because I can't afford to replace.
More investigation.
I bought the best AM4 chipset 8 months ago before all prices went higher.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to buy a new motherboard and I wanted a mild upgrade. And I found a good deal on eBay or Amazon. But that was still like 200 quid. But it's like, oh, well, the problem is if I can't put the old CPU in and post with the old, no graphics card, onboard graphics card, old RAM, which I knew was posting, then the motherboard might be fucked. In which case, why it doesn't make sense for me to hope the CPU wasn't also fucked in the same thing and buy another AM4 motherboard, right? Like, it's very possible that, especially considering the like moving expenses, etc., that like I just don't have a PC.
Yeah.
But also, I have my like Surface tablet, which unfortunately can't fucking run my Go XLR, which powers my mic because it's a goddamn ARM processor, and Go XLR doesn't have drivers for fucking ARM. So I had to install a Linux version of the Go XLR drivers on this MacBook, and as you reported, nothing works. It's all weird. So it's like, it's very possible that the stuff I take for granted, which is just a Windows PC running Windows crap, is not going to be available to me because the only other Windows PC I have is a fucking ARM processor because I'm an idiot and like technology, and so I bought the cool thing. Also, I'm on the. So I'll wrap this up to go back to our first story. There's a shit ton of people who have been, obviously this is like my microcosm online, who've been talking about like moving to Linux because of Windows 11 and its shittiness, right? And the fact that they're forcing AI in, its performance is bad, and that's coupled with the fact that they basically said Windows 10 is no longer supported, and the only way to get a Windows 11 machine outside of fudging some numbers is to have a modern chipset with TSM 2.0, etc. It means that it's not just people who are like keyboard warriors or tech enthusiasts who are annoyed with the like inshitification of the OS and the AI slop and like the way Microsoft is going, it's also functionally small businesses who don't want to fucking buy top of the line hardware.
Absolutely.
What again, this is one of those things where they'll probably get a bunch of people who upgrade hardware in the short run, but all of those customers now realize that you will fuck them on this if you feel like you need to, which means they're all looking for a way of not falling into this trap again.
Yep.
And that's the part where forcing your customers to buy new hardware as a software company is an insane move, right?
It is, but it's also a move, I think, much more powered by the idea that every government and the X percentage of businesses will be running on Windows and will all have to make that hardware upgrade. And Windows have been massively pushing. If you need Windows 11, use our, buy through us. Or Microsoft have been, buy through us. Don't go and buy a Dell or an HP or something else. Buy through us. Buy our studios and our, the variety of options that Microsoft sell directly. And that's the cycle, right? Get government divisions and businesses and people to invest in these things rather than the at-home consumers. To them, fuck them. Like, sure, here's some workarounds that actually businesses are never going to employ because they need to have a level of legitimacy, let's say, to the setups that they have. And that's where this is gone. That's who they're marketing to. That's who they're aiming all of this at, and why they're pushing all of this, because they can know that great, we can make a fucking shit ton of money because there's like 10 million Windows, I don't know, a billion Windows PCs, a billion Windows operating systems in the world. Half of those are governments and business. We're going to target those because they have to upgrade. Let's not worry about the fucking, general people with their PCs at home. It's a weird system, man.
About,
it's just
about
where
France,
I am with
right?
it. So say that again.
Do you know about France?
No.
I
I know about France, but not maybe what you're about to say about France.
Yeah. So it's not just it's a European governments, but I think it was the main French civil service stuff. Basically, the like chumming up of U.S. based tech firms to the U.S. government, which is increasingly authoritarian and wants to push.
I have read
You
this.
did know
Yes,
this, right?
yes, I do. Yes.
So the French government basically said, nope,
Mm.
to Zoom, Teams, all the conferencing tools, and then followed up with, we're going to be moving away from Microsoft products.
Yep, they're going to develop their own potential products to use / use European based alternatives and open source stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, yep, that's what happens when a hegemon sits on their laurels, which is, I think, a great example of what Microsoft is. They are assuming they're fucking all their small customers, even though I bet in aggregate they're as much money.
Yep.
But they just it's the statement. Oh god, it's the classic Labor Party move, right? Modern Labor Party is like, well, we have the far left on lock because they won't want reform, so we can just do what we want to get the stuff in the middle. And it turns out, no. Hopefully, today's election will prove that to them. Even with their shady tricks, I will stop. Yeah. But like, it's that move, right? Of like, we assume you are in the bag, so we won't. Not only will we take you for granted, we will do things that are actively worse for you as a customer because we are so sure you are stuck with us. It's like Labor, the Democrats, Microsoft. They're all like the same neoliberal, like because we have the market share, we assume we will keep it.
Yep.
But like when when governments start saying, "Nah, fuck you, Microsoft," because and it's not even like it wasn't even about their product getting worse, which is the saddest part from my perspective,
Mm.
because it's like you should be able to foresee people running away when you're making your product actively worse. And Microsoft won't learn that lesson because the government is like, no, it's because you probably will be selling our secrets.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's legit, but also it's because your stuff sucks. Because
Yeah.
like you go to a Linux open source or an in-house spun out of open source alternative, all those PCs that are like less than 10 years old, some of them less than 5 years old, just go like, right, they all still fucking work,
Yeah.
and they work with all these other software alternatives. It's so short-sighted. It just shows this idea of the customers, our client base, are just means to an end that we are presuming. And,
Absolutely.
like,
Absolutely.
I've said it before, and I will say it again and again, one thing that frustrates me the most about, current late stage capitalists is that like I can put my late stage capitalist hat on and then I look what they're doing and I'm like, you're doing it so fucking bad. Like at least do it well. Then I can argue with you on values. But it's like if I was trying to do your thing on values, I why?
There's
Why?
so many other questions to pose to them.
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you're just bad at your job, but also the reason why you're bad at your job is because you're not good at critical thinking and long-term thinking and empathy and all these other things. Because if you were, your game plan couldn't look like this.
Mm, mm.
Anyway,
That's a good place for us to finish for the evening. Final comments on beers, as you've just nailed the last bit.
so that last sip, I hadn't sipped for a minute. Surprisingly, no one. It definitely tasted a bit boozier, having
Mm.
had a break. Not in a bad way, just like, oh yeah, this was strong. I will say most of the sips between my original taste and that one, because they were larger sips, I was like, yeah, this is good,
Mm, mm.
whatever. And then now I realize, oh, of course, Ben's been accommodating me ranting and raving for 2 hours because I've been drinking a 12% beer.
I'm not sure the
And
12% beer
I've
thing is.
just gotten more and more aggravated about capitalism to the point where the point Ben's like, maybe we should stop, is me literally saying, why aren't capitalists better at what they're doing?
I mean, it's a nice place. It's a nice place to roll round to,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure the beer had an effect on that. To be honest, I think that that
No,
was
I
there
always
anyway.
do this.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, to be fair, I think I finished this beer so long ago that I can't really pull any different thoughts out than I originally had. I drank it that quickly that it
Yeah, I was saying
maintained
you
all of
definitely,
those
yeah.
notes that were there at the start. It wasn't a beer that I sort of luxuriated on and then my palate became kind of acclimatized to. It held its flavor and its sort of flow throughout the entire time
Mm.
I drank it, which is probably within the first 40 minutes maybe that we recorded probably. So I'm gonna go and drink another one now and
Nice.
just yeah, see how that one
I'm
feels
going
after this one.
to look at my schedule for tomorrow and plan my teaching and my admin
Nice, nice. I'm
because
out all
I'm
day.
starting to try and do the thing where I don't open my eyes and be like, "What's today?"
Fair,
When I
fair.
wake up and have a sense before I go to bed on what tomorrow looks like.
It's good as long as it's
I'm
before bed. As long as it's
mhm.
very short. As long as it's only 5 minutes. Understand what the
Oh
day
no,
looks
it's
like, and then be like, cool, yep, great.
in fact I will do it in front of you because most of the time it's just, yep.
Look at the
I
calendar.
tomorrow have nothing scheduled until I teach at 4.
Wow, nice.
Oh, but apparently, oh, I'm so apparently, the Durham. I have to do something at 9 for the Durham Free Fringe, 9 p.m. So it turns out I'm booked tomorrow. This is why I've started using a calendar and started looking at it because
Right.
I wouldn't have noticed.
No, absolutely. My calendar is my I do similar. That at the end of each day, the end of each workday, I will look at what's coming up the day after, just to get ahead a little bit on knowing. Like you say, it's just nice to know that you don't wake up in the morning like, fuck, what am I doing today? You've already got that sense of, cool, I know when things are happening. It's all right. I can just wake up and just get children ready for school instead. Good. Yes, we will finish there. You can get us out of lives pretty much everywhere. I'm Nova47 over on Blue Sky. Aadil is
at the Omniarch.
Go to YouTube, go to outoflives.net, look for us in all of these places. Come and see our faces and the video version. Listen to us on your podcast service of choice. Tell us about the beers you've been drinking and the games that you've been playing. I'm going to spend the weekend playing Marathon, I think, because it is what they call their server slam. So on PlayStation, I don't know if it's on PC as well, but on PlayStation they're having like a stress test ultimately. So I'm going to play a few games. And
did you have to sign up for that, or
no? I just downloaded it straight on the PlayStation. So I think I'll play a couple of games and see if it's going to be a game for me. Will it overtake Battlefield in that very nice short 30-minute hit? I don't know. I don't know how long games in Marathon are going to last, but I think I'll play that this weekend. Report on it next time we record. But that's it, I think, for us. Thank you for joining us. We've been Tanked Up. Come and join us in all of the places that we exist, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.
Ciao.
www.outoflives.net